Welcome to the Million Dollar Women's video series. I am so excited because today we have Melissa Carter from Melli Cosmetics. And I'm so excited to be able to share her wisdom and her experiences with you because she has an incredible makeup company and I absolutely love her values. And I can't wait for her to dive in and share the gold that she has with you. Welcome, Melli or Melissa.
Thanks for having me, Rachel. It's so cool to, spend a bit of time with you on this afternoon and, just hang out with you because you're amazing what you guys do. I really put both of you up on a pedestal.
Oh, thank you. And, we met recently at an event that we were running, and I just find what I love about the audience that you attract when you start doing marketing is the people that come into your circle become friends. And as soon as you started to share your values around what's important with makeup and animals and animal cruelty and you refuse to go to some countries that test on animals, I just thought that is a company that I want to support. That's a company that has ethics, has values, and in the beauty industry, I can imagine that's a really tough thing to find.
Yeah, definitely. And especially with, so many brands when they go global, and China is such a big market for so many of them, it's just something that I couldn't sleep at night, and that will always come first for me. It's funny how you say, like minds attract, because I even find with, the majority of our customers as well, when I do meet them in person, that you just click with them. And the ones that, may not even sometimes stay customers as well, that, it's attracting that like mind and, kind people.
Yes, and I just want to share, before you go into your story, because I really want to get into the content, I just want to say that I use these incredible products of Melli Cosmetics, and this is my go-to for primer underneath makeup, and I don't know probably how to use it properly, and I'm sure you give me a lesson, but it's to fill and it's the smoothest, most silky, soft makeup I've ever touched, which is probably why it's called velvet, is it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you now too, it's also man friendly. So Michael, when you're watching this, you can apply it just through your T-zone. It's great for if you're being filmed or, photographed, because it'll just take away a little bit of shine for him and nobody will know he's wearing it. Well, they will now if I tell everybody.
They'll be looking for it. So Melli, tell me a little bit about your makeup company and when did you get the idea? How long ago? Tell me a little bit of background about your company.
Well, actually it was March 05, so it's coming up to 15 years. It sort of happened almost more organically. And sometimes that's, I think, how a lot of businesses can start, that you don't always start out with, this set, or often even when you do start out with a set picture of how it's going to look, it never looks like that. It changes and evolves along the way. But we actually just started off selling a few things on eBay, and it was more so that my husband could stay at home, be at home, the stay-at-home mum or dad for the kids, so that, I could continue with my film and TV work, and he'd be there for the kids in the morning and the afternoon. And then it just evolved and went from that to, then getting an online store and then looking at creating our own products. And then actually quite early on, we were approached by TVSN, the shopping channel. As somebody I'd been within the TV industry, you meet so many people. And I was sort of like, you know what, we're only so young as a brand. I don't know if we'd be ready for this. And they said, but we really love your products and we think that they would resonate with our viewers. And so I went on to do 12 months with them. And that was sort of our springboard, I guess, to, a lot of people starting to find out about us and being able to get more customers to the website as well.
And did you find, because
Yeah.
I just want to share a little bit about all the people that you have done makeup for.
Probably one of my favourite, people love to hear about my Hugh Jackman experience. And that was working for, do you remember when Fox Studios opened and they had, it was like almost an amusement park type of thing where you could go and have that type of experience there. And we were shooting a promo for, a documentary that was going out all across the world. And he was a host for it. So I spent a week with him and he carried my bags from location to location. And he would just be the kindest. He's just a real gentleman. His driver hadn't turned up yet to take him to the next location. And so he was like, "Can you drive me?" And I was like, "You've got your car." He's like, "You've got your car here." And I was like, "Yeah." And anyway, so, I drove him and then I was like, "Shit, what if I crash and kill Hugh Jackman?" And, because you're all nervous thinking, driving through the city with him in the passenger seat. But anyway, no, he was lovely and I've worked with him again a couple of times after that. But, I've been able to work with, a lot of musicians, which that's quite cool because, some of the bands might be, a band that I've had a crush on when I was 16. And so
like who?
Yeah, and you
like
get the makeup chair and you're just like, "Oh my God, this is my, teen fantasy,
Who? Tell
life."
me one that you've worked on. Who's a musician that you have done a makeup for? Secret crush.
Chris Isaac.
Very nice.
That was for I Hate Saturday. It was in its last year, and they were filming an episode in Sydney rather than Melbourne. And he was on the show, and so I worked with him for that. And then I got booked to look after him for a Rolling Stone shoot. And he's very cheeky. He's very nice, but he's very cheeky. But I've had Kiss in the building. I've got
Did you do their makeup?
No, they do their own.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. They always do their own. I think it's that thing like where they prepare before they go on stage. It's like that's how they get into character. They sit and they do their face and
cool.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we say to people around getting out on video. You are getting into character, and when you know your right angles, when you know the right makeup, you're not relying on everybody else. You're taking ownership of your look, your style, your image.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And that's why I think, even for girls who don't wear makeup and want to go on camera, they've got, their businesses and they really want to start putting themselves out there on camera. By putting on a bit of a face, it can then give them that confidence and create that role for them to be ready to, put themselves out there. And it's that whole looking into the mirror. I find that when you're looking in the mirror and you're making yourself up, it's like, to me, you're really like checking in with yourself as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you were a makeup artist for all these celebrities and stars, is that when you felt there was a real gap in the quality of makeup you used, or why did you want to create?
Even for me, also a lot of it is texture and colour as well. Okay. So for me, it was more like not just quality, but also colour. I'm really big on colour, and a lot of the times there'd be colours that I would even be mixing to put on talent. Like I'd be thinking, "Oh, that's a beautiful dress. I want to create a colour to put on that's going to look really good on camera with that outfit," and it wouldn't be there. But, to tell you the truth, that's what all makeup artists do. We all, it's like when viewers will, ring up the Today Show and or email in and they'll go, "Oh, what was so-and-so wearing on her lips?" Guaranteed it's probably it's a concoction, 5 or 6 different colours that has been mixed together, and yeah.
Yeah, right. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Oh, that's fantastic. And I really love what you said about putting on your makeup that really does help you. So if you are thinking, oh, I don't wear makeup and I'm natural, to get a natural look on camera too, it does require.
Like a natural look can be the hardest to do as well. But that's what I like to call it, putting on your game face. So you put on your game face, and it doesn't have to be a mask, because I'm totally against masking out, eradicating any humanness from your face, but it's more about putting on that game face so that you can go right. And like you said, getting ready for how actors have always gotten ready for roles in, parts in the theatre. And
so when did you first start Melli Cosmetics? What was the date?
I should have actually written that in my journal, but it was March 2005. Yeah, and I can't believe now you know what, I don't even know if I thought back then, looking forward to 2020, if it would still, I don't know, I was very much in the now then rather than looking forward.
So did you make a decision back then, I want to create a really successful makeup brand, or did you just say, I want to create a makeup brand and let's just see how it goes?
Yeah, I think I was almost taking it day by day back then. And like I said, it happened sort of in the beginning a little bit more organically, that it sort of almost swept me up and where it just sort of took me on this journey without me, doing too much. And that's why sometimes I think that I know that I'm where I'm actually meant to be. You know how some people, they go into a business and they question, is this where I'm meant to be? Is this what I should be doing? Mind you, my other dream is making handbags and running a roller rink. I would love that.
A roller rink?
A roller rink. So, and I would only play 80s music and 70s disco, and I would have a bar in it as well. And yeah, it would be magic. And that's the next thing.
We'll talk about that at the end, because I was going to say I want to hear about the things that you want to create next. So did you grow up around money, or
no.
Tell me a little bit about your money story of when you grew up.
Yeah, look, we did not grow up around money at all. My mum for quite a few years was a single mum. My dad left when I was about 10. And even before that, there was never a lot of money. Like, there was money for food, but there were, I was a kid that didn't go on excursions. I think I might have gone on one. I never went to school camp. And that's why actually about a couple of years ago, I met up with a whole heap of girls that I'd met online in Vegas, and there was like a couple of $100. And I was like, I'm finally having my school camp. This is what it would have been like.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, we just lived sort of, day to day.
Did your family, were they entrepreneurial, or did they work full time, or?
Well, my dad's a musician, but yeah, he left when I was 10, but we do talk now, and we've regained a relationship. And my mum was a stay-at-home mum, but then she had to go out and work, so she worked 2 jobs to try and keep money coming in. I was really lucky that I had grandparents who I was really close to, who lived across the road from us. So we could go there after school if mum was working. And they also, they always were helping as well with, bills and, keeping, allowing really my mum to keep the house as well, because she couldn't always afford the repayments. So look, I wouldn't have dreamed that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, but I belonged to a theatre group, and that sort of got me, I guess, a way to escape through theatre and acting.
Do you think growing up with it being harder has helped you wanting to beat that and go, I don't want to be like that and I want to create more in my life, and that's taught you a valuable lesson?
Yeah, definitely. And just, I think, more appreciation of every step, never taking anything for granted as well, definitely. And, also that thing of remembering where you came from. is really important. And I think some people don't sometimes when they just get swept up and too busy in all of it, but I do. I even try every couple of years I drive to where it's a couple of hours drive to where I used to live and drive around the streets and just, you know, take yourself back to being that, you know, kid again.
And did you have an entrepreneurial spirit back then? Do you remember having a lemonade stand, or is there anything that you were doing when you were a kid?
A couple of things. Well, I started working really early. I worked from when I was 14. I would work at the markets, and I would get up at like 5 a.m. and walk down to the markets, and they would put over the loudspeaker, "There's a young girl here looking for work." And, you know, somebody would come and go, "Okay, you can come and work for me for the day." And sometimes you might get 3 months worth of work out of it, like every Sunday, and sometimes it'd be a one-off. And the other thing that I did, and this is back in primary school, and not so much for money, but I thought, because back even then I think sort of that acting bug, and I think that's sometimes why I really enjoy working in TV, you know, the lights and, you know, the big studios, it sort of takes me back to that. So I think it was fourth class, or I think it was about fourth class, and I had it in my head that I wanted to do a production of Beauty and the Beast. And I went to my teacher and I said, "Oh, we should do, you know, Beauty and the Beast. I love the story." And he's like, "Oh, no, it's too big. We're doing, you know, something at the end of the year." And I'm like, he's like, "But if you want to try and do something." So I started, you know, sort of scripting it a little bit to sort of make it a little bit shorter. This, you know, fourth class, crazy. And started getting kids to audition. And then I had I don't know, it all started to get too much to me. So yeah, I started to get a bit overwhelmed with it all and started to second guess, what am I doing? Maybe there were other people in my head, I don't know, family, whoever, going, what the hell are you doing? You're a kid, I don't know. But anyway, I ended up, and I just, you know, told everybody, look, it's not going to happen. And the girl who is it Bill, the main character, it was like a couple of days off before we were going to do it, and she wasn't very happy because she said her mum had organised and paid for a costume for her. So anyway, that's, you know, fun little story.
Oh, and look at where you are now, and how that has just the thinking that you wanted to lead and you wanted to create.
Yeah, and I think when we've been running different events and things like that, that little story I think sometimes pops into my head, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Do you know what I mean? Can I do this? Should I be doing this? Who am I to do this?
Interesting. Yes, I completely relate, because music videos, I think, when I didn't create music videos the way they wanted them to roll out, it was that self-doubt or the negativity about not being able to finish it, what I started. Yeah. Interesting. That's great. Great story. So just want to talk a little bit about the pathway to creating $1 million business. So if somebody is watching and they're wanting to go from, say, $100,000 business to $1 million business, what key steps or pathway do you have to share with somebody wanting to do that?
I think the most important thing is having different income streams, and that doesn't mean to be having, you know, different, you know, side hustles or even several businesses. Like for us, we started doing pop-ups. Well, actually, first we had the online store, and then we had bricks and mortar, and we had that for 7 years. I ended up closing that because with staffing and running a brand and then running a shop that also had services as well, it started to get too much for me. We had the online shopping channel. Then we started doing pop-ups as well, trade shows, and expos, events, like having different, like really spreading your wings out so that, and the wholesale as well, which you're getting through doing trade shows. So having wholesale and retail, that is if you can, but thinking outside the box rather than just going, I'm just an online or I just do wholesale. And that way you're getting out to lots of different people that may not have known about the brand or your business. And if one part of your business starts to get a little bit slow, you've got other parts of it that can sort of keep it going.
So your biggest thing would be having a look, even if you're a small business, you would say start branching out, not just relying on the one income stream, but look at where you can either do trade shows or events or affiliates or influence.
Definitely, like even affiliates, and that's something we're starting to look into, mainly to even reward a lot of our customers who are on social media all the time going, oh my God, this lip gloss, or do you know what I mean? Like, there's a bit to it, like setting it all up on the website. So it may take a while, but it's something that we've been looking into. But yeah, definitely the more you can spread yourself out to different areas. But when you're doing that as well, it's really important to go, well, that didn't work so well. And then to go, well, why? And then to go, well, is it something I could improve on, or is that just not for us?
And that's a good question to ask yourself, and not just get caught up in, oh my God, it didn't work and we're not good. Just really asking that question, is this for us? And have other things in place.
The other thing I look at more now, not so much early on, but now that I'm able to, is more, does it expand me or does it shrink me? If I don't enjoy doing it, then it's a no-go, because life's too short. Early on, you've got to, put yourself out there and try everything. But now it's like even I stopped doing wedding makeup and private clients a long time ago. So now the only time I do makeup is for in my videos and when I do the odd TV gig. But I just found I wasn't loving it anymore, even though the girls that I would go and see are beautiful and it can be really rewarding. It was causing me a lot of stress just from the extra workload, and so it wasn't expanding me anymore. So if something doesn't expand you,
I love that. That's a really, really amazing tip. That's really good. I love that. Either contract you or expand you. Definitely write that one down and put it on your wall. That's a good one. So what other things? So if you're going from a $100,000 business to a $1 million business, what other steps or what other lessons, but what mistakes do you wish that you knew in creating that pathway?
Look, really early on, I guess when you're very green, you're very trusting. You think that everybody's out there to help you, and the world's a beautiful place, and that there are a lot of people who are cheering for you and love what you do and want to help. But then there's a lot of charlatans as well, especially in the dark web. We were ripped off a couple of times. There was one instance very early on. We received this email from a UK company saying, oh, hey, we'd love to help you break into the UK. We have reps that can go out to businesses and show your products. And it was back then, it was a couple of $1,000s investment. And back then that was like $50,000 to it. It was huge. And paid the money, and then they started to go quiet. And so anyway, then silly me, we should have, now we research anything before we just jump in. No matter how exciting it sounds, we just go, let's go check that out. So I went and checked them out and found all these reviews of people going, these guys are scammers, don't go near them. They don't even exist. The photos on their website, it's not even their office, blah, blah, blah. So, that was... So just be careful. It's really good to be open to a lot of things, not to, like I said, there's a lot of you know,
Your
really good people in
research.
this world, but just be aware and just research,
Good.
especially when they're in another country.
Yeah, that's a good lesson.
Yeah.
So what other mistake would you say you would have wished that you had have known back then?
Probably with staff that we've had to be a little bit more, not tougher in the beginning, but just to really spell things out. I just want to be everybody's best friend. Do you know what I mean? I was doing that and it wasn't working. And I think it's really nice to build a team that can be like family, but not letting yourself get walked over as well.
So clear boundaries between
Just
going
early on,
out
just
and
knowing, hey, you know, this is how things go. This is, you know, if there's, I don't know, because I hadn't done that before. And I hadn't had a lot of guidance on that.
that's really good. I'm nodding my head because I completely relate to your story. So I'm so glad that you shared that.
And it's hard when you're that type of person as well, that, when you come into work and, you know, they're sitting on their phones, and then when you walk in, the phones aren't even, put down. They're just like, continue, just like, yeah, okay.
And what do you do in that case?
I don't know. Back then I would be like, yeah, I think I didn't have the guts to go, you know, I was trying to be nice. I was just like, sometimes I would be like, this needs to be done. Do you want to help me with this? Rather than going, come on, put your phone down.
And what do you say now?
Well, now I'd be like we're not in the retail sector with the bricks and mortar now, but if we went back into that and I've got the staff in there in that type of environment, I would be starting with set rules, you know, phone is for lunchtime. Just setting those boundaries really early. So it's not fun to, you know, have those conversations.
So scaling, because I think that's also something that people struggle with, is when they go from 100,000 to $1 million business. So scaling, how do you scale? Is it something you wanted to do and you had numbers that you wanted to reach, so therefore you looked at ways to do it, or how did you scale?
I'm not a numbers girl. I think we've had this chat before. I'm the creative energy that's behind it all. So I'm really bad with numbers. I don't know if that's coming back from my money thing from when I was young. It's just like, don't want to know about it. And that's why even like when, you know, we sort of hit certain numbers that, I don't know, I get more excited that, wow, well, there's money there to create new products. And do you know what I mean? Rather than going, oh, wow, we've hit this or we've hit that.
Do you have meetings? Because your partner does all that, right?
Yeah,
so you're intertwined in the business, so you know what your strengths are.
When he wants to sit down and discuss that, I'm sort of uneasy in my chair, and I'm just like, so, you know, how much can I spend? Rather than typical woman, how much can I spend?
But that's also really refreshing, because you don't need to know the numbers if you've got somebody you trust on your team to be able to do business.
Yeah, and he's really good at that, and he sort of gives me free rein with creating products and things like that. So we've got a pretty good balance most of the time. Awesome. But it can be hard. Yeah.
Well, I love that. So really think about having that team in place to be able to do the things that necessarily, if it's not a strength and you don't love it, then put someone in place that can support you, that you can still get to the same result.
Yeah. But for scaling, when you're talking about scaling too, like what I try and do now is, you know, they've got that, you know, look forward in 10, where you want to be in 10 years, and then work back. What have I got to do for it to look like that? But I sort of do more a 2 year, I think now, rather than that 10 years. 10 years is a long time, and
Happen.
it's yeah. So I tend to do more a 2-year and go, okay, if we want to be here in 2 years, what do we need to do to get to that, so that then you can forward plan as well.
Love it. Okay, cool. And what are the 3 biggest challenges that you personally had to overcome to create the company you have now?
Probably even my money mindset too, from how I grew up. My grandfather, my poppy, he was one of my favourite people in the world, but he was very much money is evil. Only, bad things happen to people with money. Money will bring bad things to you. So I think early on as well, I was very much, well, we only want to make enough just to pay our bills and nothing more. We don't want anything more than that. So, getting that out of my head and going, no, well, money's a tool that's going to not just create a difference in our lives, but other people's lives, even like our stockists as well. If we do better, and we can create more products, and we can even do more content for online, which only helps them and helps them. Like they've all got families, so it's yeah.
The ripple effect. It's got a huge ripple effect. Yeah. So one of your biggest challenges is money, or the money mindset, and really shifting that and realizing there were things from the past. What's another challenge that you've had to face?
With the brand, and putting myself out there. That's why you guys are so good at what you do, because you help people with that.
How was that though, when you first went on the shopping channel, for being behind the camera for so long? How was that for you when you first stepped in front of the camera?
Well, I can tell you, when they first mic'd me up, I was really scared that they would hear my heart beating, because I was but then, after doing a couple of shows, I actually enjoyed it. And I think that came from, my acting from when I was younger, that I actually, even though I am an introvert, I actually enjoy it at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So part of you is like the rock star, and there's a part of you that is the shy side that likes it.
Yeah, it's funny. I think just early on it was harder, and then that became a lot easier. It's I think online it's actually harder, because then you've got to deal with, the haters and the trolls and, competitors who go and make up 60 fake profiles to attack you. And
so how do you deal with that? So, because that's a reality, being more and more visible and bigger and bigger. How do you deal with that?
You know how they say, oh, congratulations, you've got hate. You can easily said, but dealing with that when, you go to bed of a night and it's going around in your head, or especially if they're saying like cruel things that, sort of might eat into your insecurities as well. It's hard. I went through a really rough time for about 2 years from having one particular brand who'd made up all these profiles who are constantly, and if you're watching, you can't do it to me anymore.
I won't be watching.
Sorry. One day I just went, well, F you. You can't stop me. You're not the one paying my bills. I'm going to show you. And
is that because they're a competitor in the makeup space, so they didn't like you coming in?
Yeah, I don't know. And they just didn't, I don't know, got a bee in their bonnet about me and didn't like me, and thought, let's, but I was really scared too for a long time, because some of the things that they would write, and I thought, are they going to turn up to a trade show? Am I going to go into a car park and she'll be waiting, because it got pretty full on. Like, we paid an internet removal company to try and get things removed, paid a lot of money to them. Wow. Apparently, if it's done through Google, the blogs through Google, that they believe in freedom of speech. But they did look at it and said you'd have to get a lawyer because it is defamation. But yeah, that's a whole big chat. But and then, you know, with general haters, you know, keyboard warriors who often I think you stir something up in them that they don't like or they feel insecure about. And, you know, they must have really sad, boring lives. I don't have time. I wouldn't have time to.
Do you leave the comments there, or do you reply back and have some responses at now?
Sometimes I reply back, but you find that you don't feed the trolls once you start. You know, they will go on, and which is really hard to when you're doing a live. So sometimes in lives I've had it happen as well. A lot of the time, you know, it can even just be really crude comments as well. And so it's really tricky. I don't know if you've got any tips for anybody of or having somebody else, I guess, watching and getting in there and deleting them, because you just, you know, you've got to try and ignore it and you hope but we had somebody once and they were on there for half an hour and they were going for it. And but I was quite good at just ignoring it. I just sort of had a little
ignored it, and other people must have noticed it. And
I had. And you know what's fun now? A lot of people will come in, like, you know, your big fans or your beautiful followers, and often they'll help you deal with it as well. But generally, I'll delete and block. You know, it's just
simple as that.
Yeah, delete and block. You know, and don't feed them. And yeah.
I believe in that too. It is that fine line. We don't get that many, but occasionally we may get somebody that says, oh, I'm not going to pay this for a workshop, and we're like, well, you know, there's nothing beats in-person experience and years of experience in person and the energy of the room. You can't feel that if you're away or so you'll just find there's people that do. They just want to say stuff because they feel shit about themselves.
And I was just going to say with your workshops as well, what's so beautiful about them is meeting such, you know, other beautiful people that are all on a journey as well. And so it's so much more. But anyway, they're missing out, aren't they?
Absolutely. So I think everybody gets it, but you've had some extreme, for 2 years, you've had some serious stuff happen. And there's been
it knocks you, and I think after that, like when I kind of remember the moment where I just went, maybe something happened, I can't remember, but something went, and I think I had to deal with it for a while, but 2 years, that was a while.
Well, I think,
and that's when I just started when I'm going to do as much video as I can, and
off you.
Yeah.
Good. I like that attitude. And what I like to, I come to the realization probably in the last year that if it opens a conversation and it shifts something in them, even if it's that negative comment, it's shifted something, it's created a conversation that may lead to them having a breakthrough or something shifted in them, whether it may be just a comment that's not good on social media, but something's triggered in them. Hopefully something has shifted for the better.
Yeah. I think sometimes they often feel, especially if you do like Facebook advertising, and if you show up on their feed, that they almost feel that they've got the right. Oh, well, you're on my feed, so I can, you know, what are you doing on here? And I'm going to let loose at you. I don't know. But
that's a good advice, though. And just if you could help somebody get over that quicker if they've got trolls, what would you say?
I think it's important to feel it, because it does. It can hurt you. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you totally, especially if they're really going for it, if you try, I think it's important to have that time to deal with it and process it. And then to realise too, you know, what are that saying of when somebody says something nasty, it says more about them than what it says about you. You know, it's nothing to do with you. It's like you said, something that you stir up in them. But just, and just to realise too, I guess, that it's going to continue to happen, but maybe in different ways. And And so it's like developing a little bit of a thick skin and a little bit of muscle to be able to deal more with it in the future. While now, you know, they pop up every couple of days for me, and
Wow.
I don't now dwell on it as much, but know that, you know, the more you put yourself out there, the more it's going to happen. So the quicker you can sort of deal with it or get used to it.
When you first hit $1 million business, how did you guys feel when you reached that goal?
I didn't even know. Like, our accountant can be a bit slack. He's sometimes a year or so behind. So I wasn't even aware. And as I said, it was more when we start to get the huge tax bills and I start to go, oh, something's going on. So what I train with my new money mindset now as well, rather than go, oh my God, look at how expensive is it to do business? You know, all we do is, I'm lucky to be getting a tax bill that big. I'm great to get to do these things because it means that we're doing big things. Do you know what I mean?
Do you celebrate now, though, if you've reached a goal?
Yeah, we try to, like, just, you know, when we've got certain wins, and try and really process it and take it in and just, you know, be in the moment rather than thinking too far ahead all the time and just going, wow, and then looking back is really important as well. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Really good. I love that. You're grateful for the growth. And so every time a bill comes in, you're like, yes, we're doing big things.
Yeah. Look, it's a work in progress, but we do try and do that to go, wow, aren't we lucky? Wow.
I love that. So do you have any games, or when you've started to shift that money mindset, are there any little games that you've played or anything that you've done that has helped you shift mindset?
I think journaling, I do a lot of journaling now, and I think that has really helped as well, and getting up earlier as well.
How do you journal? So do you write what you're feeling or thinking or what's on your mind?
It's like verbal diarrhea. Whatever is going through me. You know, obviously things like, you know, my dreams, writing down goals as if they've already happened. Mm-hmm. I do that a lot. I think that's a really important thing to do, because rather than just thinking it and talking it, but when you write it, to me, that, I don't know, and a lot of the things that I've done, when I look back and I go, wow, well, that's happened and that's happened and that's happened, that's been a really big thing for me. Yeah.
Did you ever do The Artist's Way? I remember in my 20s, there's a book called The Artist's Way, and it's about journaling. Just first thing you get up, you don't censor what your brain's doing. You just get it out on paper to shift it, and then there's space.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm going to have a look at that. But yeah, first thing in the morning is best for that as well. And even I keep pen and paper beside my bed as well. I have the strangest dreams. I need to write movies about my dreams. Insane. And I'll try and even write them down as well. But sometimes I'll sort of manifest into everyday life. Actually, speaking of the word manifest, at the end of the day, after packing orders for our online store, we have to manifest the orders. So my husband will go, oh, time to manifest. And so then I try and get him to do a little bit of, because he's not as much into that as me. I'm trying to guide him into that bit. And I'm like, okay, you manifest something. Well, it's, you know, yeah.
Actually, Michael and I were talking about this very subject this morning, finding the evidence of what you've manifested in the past, and the belief, because sometimes you go, well, is it really happening? But if you can find and focus on the evidence to support that, it just helps you to go, oh, of course it works. Yes, it works.
Oh, yeah. Well, even when I was a teenager, and because I knew I also, from my teens, because I remember I even did, for work experience, I did 1 week at a theatre for acting. And then I did the other week at a makeup school. And so back then, that's what I wanted to do. And I would have these like visions of making up certain people, having certain actors or whoever in my chair. And then it's so funny, years later, they'd sit in my chair and I'm like, oh my God, I had these dreams. They're actually sometimes even dreams, or I had written it down that one day I will do. And so
that.
I think I definitely manifested that for sure.
I love that. That's beautiful. I love the manifesting time too that you both have. That's really cool.
Yeah. And because he's not big on that, and I'm really, I'd love him to get exactly where I am. He's coming up there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I'm like, okay, manifest.
So what I see so far, the goal that you've been sharing, so if you're at a business and you're really wanting to get to the $1 million mark, what I'm seeing so far is you really want to start journaling every day. You want to start creating and visualizing and knowing exactly where you're going, and then looking for other opportunities to expand your brand. Like you said, looking for other outlets for your product, not just focusing on the one. In case something like a virus hits or whatever, you've got these things out there.
Yeah, totally. Looking at what expands you, what shrinks you, so that you know where you're meant to be. And the other thing, learning to say no, but at the same time, I think it's really important, which I've done this a few times over the years, and I think so Richard Branson spoke about it, saying yes to something even if you don't think that you're ready for it, or if you're you know how to do it, say yes and then work out how to do it.
I love that.
But then say no to the things that, like learning to say no to things that if you don't feel it here, or if you feel it in your gut that this doesn't sit right or it doesn't excite me. So, and not feeling bad, because I'm always, wanting to please people. And so I'm a lot better at saying no now. So learning to say no early, and then learning to say yes to things that might scare you, that you don't know how to do yet, but then working out how to do them.
I love that. Fantastic. So we're all about, as you know, about following your crazy ideas. And we love to explore this idea, especially when you've created a $1 million plus business. There are more things that you can do in the world, and there's more crazy ideas and there's more difference you can make. So I'd love to hear about what your crazy ideas are now, and what inspiration or what bigger difference you're wanting to create out there in the world now that you're creating the wealth and making the difference you're doing.
Well, I said earlier a roller rink.
When are you going to do that?
I don't know. I need to write it down. I need to date it, don't I? My father's mother, on my dad's side, she actually ran a roller rink in the 80s. And so I did, on access visits, we would go to the roller rink, and I had my white leather boots with the red wheels, and I could skate okay, because we did it a fair bit. That's, I don't know, I love 80s music, I love 70s disco, and a bit of Fleetwood Mac. So I just have this vision of this magical, happy place where you go and skate, because they've shut down so many of them over the years. You can't go anywhere now and skate. I think there's a couple that
it's very child focused, and I thought they haven't evolved.
No. And I just pictured this a really cool bar that where you could skate at night and then go and sit, and just almost like a Studio 54 type of scene, but with skating. I don't know. It's just something that I just think that sort of expands me, and and I love music, and having that really cool music and that cool vibe, and just a fun place for people to go. Because let's face it, like, unless you're, 20 or 18, even, look, my son just turned 21, and even all the nightclubs, even, they're even that bit younger, and he's like, where do we go?
And you know what? You could hire it out definitely as a location place. I remember Robbie Williams had a skating video where he had roller skating. I can't remember the song, where he stripped off his flesh. I don't know if you remember that. And I love that video, because I love music videos. But you can shoot some great videos. I've got the vision too now, so it's there.
Yeah. And I love books. Like, I would love, and it's a shame, it's so sad, so many bookshops are closing down. Like Borders, I would go to every Sunday and gather up a heap of books. And I walk into a bookshop or a library and I get so excited I have to know where the bathroom is. I love books. I would love a really cool bookshop as well.
That could be one end of your roller. So tell me about the difference. Like, if you could make a difference now that you're in the business you're in, what areas are you passionate about, and what areas really annoy you or get to you that you go, I want to make a difference with this?
Animal cruelty. I don't understand why, like, PETA hasn't been, I know they're working on it, like, for China. I don't want to start talking politics, because every time I talk politics as well, that's when all those comments. So I never try and that's the thing. I don't know, you're like, it's good to speak your mind and then people know where you're coming from. But I find when I start to get political as well, that, and everybody's got an opinion and everybody's got a right to their opinions.
Why don't all companies not do that?
If you sell in China, you have to, that is their rules. To me, they had a big enough brand where they could have said no. I think sometimes it's just greed. It's like, and I do understand that, it's even like with us, even though we're doing what we're doing now, we almost have to get to that next level again to be a bit more comfortable. Like, because as you make more money, the running costs of a business, it's not all what it's, what it looks like. Do you know what I mean? It becomes a lot more expensive to run, and
expenses are huge, and they're
so your expenses get huge with that. So then you've got to then get to that. So I understand that businesses need to expand for that, but companies like Mac, I don't know, and it really maddens me, and I think they could be ones that could take a stand for other brands.
Because I used to use them until I found out that they on apples, and then of course they you. And I never knew half the things that you share. And I think having values and animal cruelty is a huge thing that is the world. We're evolved now. It's time to stop that.
There's so much more that goes on. It's not just testing within cosmetics, but the coming to a happy note with all of that, the thing that another dream that I would like to do, and I would like to travel around in a van with a lot of dog leads, and that when I see a lost dog on the side of the road, my job is to save that lost dog and then work at finding who their owners are. Go around with, the microchipping thing. And that's all I would do, because, when our dogs have ever gotten out, I always think, why isn't, their superheroes are out there looking for them. I don't know. And I've got myself into trouble a few times from saving lost dogs that weren't lost. They were out going for a walk. So I practically kidnapped them, and then, we've rang up the owners, lucky that they've had little tags on them, and they've gone, our dog's been missing and you have our dog, and our dog just likes to go for a walk. And I'm like, well, your dog nearly got hit and I saved him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I find that too. A lot of dogs get out and then I tried to one just only a couple of weeks ago that did get hit and passed away.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's an ongoing thing. So you want to create a van, go out there with a whole bunch of dog collars and
Save everybody's dogs. Yeah.
so you're
I
more
have
of a
to say,
dog person or a cat person?
I'm more of a dog. I have had a cat, and we called her Sally. And she wandered in one day. She was a stray, and the next morning we found her with 10 kittens.
And animals are an important part, I believe, in calming the energy and joy and happiness,
Yeah.
especially when you're running a business busily. They
Yeah.
bring so much into your life.
Oh, and that they know when you've had a bad day. They know when you need them, and that they are so healing.
And so, what's your vision now? What would be your vision now, or do you have any last advice for somebody that is wanting to grow a business or $1 million business? What do you have any last words for them?
You don't know what lays ahead. Like, don't give up. When often, and they do say that, often a lot of businesses, if they had, gone that even extra day or extra month rather than, going after 5 years, oh, we can't do it, this is all too hard. You never know what's around that corner. Like, even when we've had periods where I'm just, oh, this is all too hard. And then I just try and go, let go of that. And then the next week, something amazing happens. And you're like, if I had just stopped then, this wouldn't have happened.
Do you think the early years, like the first 3 to 5 years, are the hardest?
I guess early on it's hard when you're finding your way and you're not sure where you're going. But I think for us it wasn't as hard because I didn't think too much or expect too much out of it. Do you know what I mean? Because I was more just probably still, oh, money's evil. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just here to pay the bills. And, I think we were more about creating a job for ourselves rather than creating a business back then, which a lot of people do. But if you're going to do that, you're better off just getting a job, trust me, because you'll get holiday pay.
And what about, because videos has had a huge impact in your growth with, first of all, being on the shopping channel, TVSN, and then also now you're on social media, you do a lot with video. How do you feel that videos played as a role in your growth?
I think if we hadn't have gone down that path, we may not still be here. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And what's that helped you do?
For them to know, like, and trust me rather than, connect with a person rather than a brand, know what I'm about. Look, there's still people out there who they don't care about me. They're just like, you make a really pretty lipstick. That's all I'm interested in. But majority of people as well, especially I think with online, when especially if you're not doing as much events or trade shows, that it's a way of them connecting.
And how have you found, because you are the face of your brand, and I come across a lot of women at workshops that may have a product or they think, no, I should have a younger person out there marketing my business. What do you think about that?
It's funny because when we have used images, we've hired, beautiful young models. They haven't resonated as much. I think a lot of women can often relate to me more than, look, they're beautiful images and, having these beautiful girls, and they do show off the products really well. But often they're not relatable. So, I definitely think that, by putting yourself out there more, by being the face of the brand, that they're going to know, like, and trust you more. And like I said, if you're not going out there and you're just in that online space, I think that's really important. And I think they appreciate that. I haven't actually I was doing live, like a half an hour to even up to an hour live show every Tuesday night. And when we moved into our new premises, I hadn't done them for a long time because we hadn't been set up properly with a backdrop and everything. And I was getting a few emails and even phone calls going, oh my God, I used to enjoy watching you. I knew that I'd be so excited on a Tuesday. I'm going to go home. I'm going to watch Melli. She's going to give me really good value, really good advice. And we have a chat, we have a laugh. And I think that just sort of showed me that, yeah. And when you think that you're not, or you're putting yourself out, sometimes I'm like, I'm sick of looking at my face and listening to myself. But they still love it, you know. So I think that, you know, the more you can do it and the more you can give value, which I try and do, rather than just selling in a video. I try and I feel like I need to do more and more and more, give value, give and give until you can, you know, and just keep giving.
And what also I'd love to just cover, there are so many beauty products or people doing beauty eyeshadows and things like that on social media. What I love is that there's room for everybody.
Yeah, and even with MLMs, you know, companies, like they might even be selling the exact same product, but when somebody's on video promoting and showing how to use it and giving value, that then, do you know what I mean? They connect to that person and then they'll want to buy from that person. So that just shows when it's the exact same product.
And you are touring, you're going on an event soon, I believe. So you're actually going around the country. If anybody is at just share a little bit about how people can find you.
You can come to our Facebook page, Melli Cosmetics, and all the details are on there. But I'll be on stage doing a little masterclass and talking about how to get your makeup ritual and a makeup mindset. And there'll be tapas and wine, and it's just like a really good girls' day out. And we've got some really cool speakers as well.
I love the sound of it. What a fantastic name. And I just share with you, if you do want to stock up on your makeup for camera, is so important when you're showing up and you're feeling good about yourself. You definitely need some. And what would be your go-to camera products? Mine would be the powder and the primer. What would yours be?
Even like a gel liner, like we've got a pot of gel liner which is waterproof, smudge-proof, smear-proof. Adding definition to your eye is really important, especially if you're using, you know, like your ring light or your soft boxes, because on camera you can sometimes lose that little bit of definition. And, you know, if your eyes are, you know, they don't even have to, you don't have to go and do a cat eye or anything like that. Adding that definition to your eyes is really important. And that's something I'm actually going to start doing, of doing a few free videos for women who do own a business and want to be on camera but are a little bit, you know,
great.
It's holding them back the way they're looking. So
awesome. Look out for those too.
That's my job for years, getting women ready to go on camera in TV. So, you know, I know those sort of tricks that you can do, and you don't need to do a lot. You don't have to turn into this, you know, big glamour or anything. It's just those little things so that when you watch your video back, you can go, do you know what, I look all right, you know, and you then feel more confident to do the next one.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And you have got lip glosses and things for Lisa. Is it Lisa Wilkinson from the program?
We sort of had a joint collaboration making a gloss together that she wanted. And
fantastic.
So she's and has been kind enough that, you know, when it went into production, she went and gave me a big shout out. She's given me a few shout outs, which is really lovely of her.
And
Yeah.
that's why in Days of Our Lives, they love your stuff too. So
Yeah,
there's a lot
they love the velvet. They're obsessed with the
of
velvet. They use all our eyeshadows, our lip products, a few of the foundations. Yeah, so, and we've just, our US trademark has finally come through as well. So, so we've got quite a few customers online for over there, and quite a few makeup artists using it as well on different shows. So that's the next step. Really
fantastic.
just trying to navigate the US market. Yeah.
That is a perfect way to finish. So onwards and upwards for the Melli
Yep.
Cosmetics brand. So thank you so much for sharing your growth and some of the things that have been hard and difficult and ways that people can grow their business, because I believe it's always nice to hear it firsthand and be surrounded by people that you want to become. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. So much gold in here. I just wanted to keep going. So thank you so much.
Thank you.